we're too short now on things like personal interactions and meeting and having coffee and having lunch and dinners and things. And in China, that's really the culture. We're not going to do business, serious business, anything significant until we have like a big lunch, or a dinner. And we're probably going to get drunk at dinner, and you're just going to spend more time, and then you get really close with people, and it just makes business easier.
Hey there, business enthusiasts. Welcome to the Chills Podcast, brought to you by Allweather Roof. Because just like a sturdy roof, our conversations are built to last. I'm your host, Brent Loberg, and we're about to dive into the world of business, family, and the moments that give us those exhilarating chills. Ever wonder what keeps successful people inspired? Well, get ready to find out as we chat with some fantastic all-weather customers, partners, vendors, and friends. We'll explore their triumphs, challenges, and maybe even some unexpected secrets. After all, business is not just about numbers. It's about the people behind them. So grab your metaphorical popcorn and join us on this journey. Get ready to be inspired, maybe even get a few chills of your own. This is the Chills Podcast. Let the goosebumps begin. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Introduce yourself.
Nick Carmichael, grew up in Orono, Minnesota, University of Minnesota graduate, started in commercial real estate right out of school, 2001, 2002. Been a commercial broker since then. I've also recently got involved a little bit in M&A, mergers and acquisitions, selling companies. It's really fairly new to me.
Okay.
Along the way, I've done some really exciting stuff. I've worked at multiple different companies. I've been on my own since 2010, but I did a stint in 2006 to 2010. I worked for CB Richard Ellis in China.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And hobbies, I'm a huge hockey fan. I like to play hockey.
Did you play as a kid?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In Orono?
Yep.
Yeah. Big hockey school out there.
Yeah, I think it's gotten only bigger and bigger. I know they were just in the state tournament again, and the Orono, I think, has changed a lot. Right since 1997, after I graduated, it just exploded in size and became much bigger. I think my class was like 180 when I graduated, and I think the classes are much bigger now. And I know they built a new high school, so yeah, it's really grown up since I was there.
You have kids that play?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Daughter, she's 13.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I grew up in Duluth and never played hockey.
Okay.
I always joke, I wish my parents would have got me into hockey because hockey players got all the cute girls.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we have a son that's this was his first year Bantams, but my wife and I always joke too that's kind of our date night. We just love going to the games.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
We really gotten into hockey over the years.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's great in Duluth too. My buddy lives in Duluth, and we had some tournaments up there, and got to spend some time up there in Duluth and enjoying hockey and the hockey community up there.
Yeah. Do you coach, or have you ever coached?
I did coach. I haven't coached in a couple of years, but I did. That was a lot of fun.
Coach with your daughter?
Yeah.
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 Very cool.
Yeah.
So what's the name of your company?
Capital Commercial Partners.
Okay. And you have a niche. Was it industrial?
Industrial is primarily my focus. And even further, what I primarily do is industrial investment properties, and more specifically, off-market industrial investment properties. So I'm out looking for properties that are for sale, and then I kind of know exactly what I'm looking for, and I have a roster of potential investors that I can then bring those properties to, and I present offers to for these properties, and try and do mostly off-market transactions. So I do have one a client that I represent that's outside of that, where I do some leasing, where they are a third-party logistics company, and they will occasionally have requirements for new warehouse space, and I'll help them with leasing. But other than that, I just focus really on the investment sales primarily.
Okay. How's the market these days?
It's not as good as 2021 to 2023. I think it's starting to pick up, I would say, knocking on wood.
Yep.
I think what happened for me in 2024 was you kind of build your lead prospect machine to find a certain type of product, and then when interest rates change, the product kind of changes. So it was like people were buying investment properties at at 5 and 6 cap rates. And then suddenly, because interest rates were higher, they need to be buying them at 7 and 8 cap rates. Well, it's like I found a bunch of properties and sellers that wanted to sell for 5s and 6s, and the buyers all want 7 and 8s all of a sudden.
Sure.
And then also just with the election, things really calmed down at the end of last year. But now I feel like rates have come off a little bit, and for whatever reason, things are settling down. We're through the presidential election, and I feel like the animal spirits are starting to perk up a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's good. So you said you have just one kid?
Yes.
Okay. So you wife and daughter live out in Orono?
No, I grew up in Orono. I haven't been to Orono since 1997.
Okay.
No, I moved to Minneapolis when I went to the University of Minnesota, and I kind of fell in love with urban city life, and I've been more of a city guy ever since then. So I've lived in St. Paul now since 2010 when I moved back from China. So I live in the Cathedral Hill neighborhood in St. Paul.
How long were you in China for?
4 years.
Okay. How was that?
It was great. It was an amazing experience. It was right when China was coming into the WTO, so it was the time when there was a rush of these multinational companies setting up operations there, and the economy was growing like crazy, and everybody was excited about China and learning about China, and the construction was an unbelievable pace. It was something like I was in Shanghai, and it was like there was more cranes building buildings in Shanghai than there was in the entire United States or something like that. It was some crazy statistic. Like the scale of development was just unbelievable. So yeah, it was a great experience. I actually played hockey there. And there's an expat hockey team, and that was just one of the highlights of it. Became really good friends with a bunch of people that I played hockey with there. They're still my really good friends. We get together and play in a tournament here once a year in Minneapolis at the pond hockey tournament.
Oh, really?
Comus. And when I was there, it was a great experience because we'd have these tournaments in different countries and different cities. So I got to travel all over Asia, go to Malaysia, Thailand, and Hong Kong, and go to these different tournaments. So it was a great opportunity for me on several levels, and a lot of fun.
Yeah. So have you been back then since?
I used to go back a lot between 2010 and 2014, but I have not been back since 2014.
Okay. Wow. What a good experience. So when you got back then, is that when you started your own business?
Capital Commercial Partners. Yep.
Okay. And how did you get started in that? What was the passion behind it?
I think it was always an interest of mine. My dad was entrepreneur. Both my grandfathers were entrepreneurs, and just kind of felt like ultimately it was going to be the place for me. And so yeah, I mean, I've loved it. It's been great for me. Get to really focus on what I'm specifically passionate about and work specifically with people that I want to work with and stuff I want to work on. And so it's great.
So is it an all industrial niche then?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, along the way, I've done a few here and there, random other things. I was involved in parking a bit in 2016 to 2018. I got involved with a parking REIT. It was going to be the first parking REIT. They never actually ended up making it public. They were trying to build their portfolio and then go public. And I did some deals with them, and actually ended up owning a parking lot with somebody I met through that for a period of time that I just sold late 2023. But yeah, aside from that, it's pretty much always an industrial focus.
Is it just you, or do you have other employees as well?
I just have a personal assistant, but it's really just me.
Okay. And you do some investment commercial properties for yourself too?
Yes.
Yep. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
How's that been going for you?
The parking lot was great. I actually invested in a couple of hotels, which was not great. What I have now is mostly houses that I do Airbnb and short-term rentals and stuff like that. And that's kind of the easiest, safest. It's brain damage, but it's kind of the least brain damage. You kind of know what you're up against. But yeah, I'm always out looking for deals. You know, sure. It's hard to be a buyer in the kind of asset class that I'm an expert in, because the scale of investment is so huge and there's so many dollars out there chasing it. So, if there's a good deal, the market is efficient at finding it.
For sure. Yeah. So, give the audience a tidbit of advice for entrepreneurship. How you kind of started your own business and been doing this for almost 15 years now. How's that been going?
I think that my path, when I was coming out of college or even before college, I was the kind of person that was like, had the lawn service, going door to door, selling steak knives. I was always entrepreneurial. I used to buy and sell cars out of my mom's front yard. And so, I think I maybe even thought about going on my own earlier and when I was much younger, but I think that the path that I took was perfect. When I started out in college, I worked with one of the best teams, or if not the best team in industrial real estate, and learned from probably top 1% people on processes and just kind of how you go about your business from people that are already doing it. And I did that for a long time, and that provided the groundwork so that when I ultimately got to the point where it was time to do it on my own, I knew exactly what I needed to do and how to do it.
Okay.
So that's my advice is, mentor or work for somebody. And I would say, don't take who you work for lightly. I would say, really find somebody that is good, and learn what you can from them as a springboard to go to what you want to do on your own.
Okay. Did you learn anything in China that you kind of could bring back here, that they did their processes were a little bit different, that you could kind of use in the U.S.? Or is it all kind of the same?
I think that it makes you more pragmatic about how you approach things. So what you don't realize is that your framework and how you think about things is so much as a result of your familiarity with the legal system here and laws and processes. So in China, they don't even own it's not like fee simple property, it's land use rights. So it's like you're buying a lease in a sense. Okay. And the government pretty much controls everything and controls all of those land use rights. And so as a result of that, the processes for buying and selling property, they just do it totally differently. You have to meet with government officials when you're working on a project, and the process is different. It's different paperwork, and they don't care about the things that we care about. So that was awakening for me, because when you're younger and you start having some really success, you think you know everything. And it was just good for me to kind of have that experience and just be a bit more analytical, a bit more pragmatic as I approach things, and hopefully avoided mistakes as kind of a result of that experience. Now, that was one thing. I would say, best practices. I think that we are short. We're too short now on things like this, like personal interactions and meeting and having coffee and having lunch and dinners and things. And in China, that's really the culture. It's like, we're not going to do serious business, anything significant until we have like a big lunch, or a dinner. And we're probably going to, have a couple, and we're probably going to get drunk at dinner, and you're just going to spend more time, and then you get really close with people, and it just makes business easier.
For sure.
In the United States, it's just weird. I mean, I've done real estate transactions where I found a deal, here or somewhere in the upper Midwest, and I've called or emailed the deal specs to a buyer in Dallas, and I've gotten an offer, and we never even met in person, and I've closed the transaction. That just doesn't happen in China. And I think that we benefit, and we can benefit and do better business and be better if we are a little bit more focused on the personal interaction side of it.
For sure.
We're a little bit too far removed from that, and a little bit too cold, I think.
Yeah. And even worse, what we found here, because we're private negotiated sales company, and prior to COVID, it was, I bet 80% of the proposals that we would go and meet with the person, sit down, go through the 3-ring binder. And then since COVID, it just kind of seemed to drop, and we're just trying to really zero in and trying to get belly value with people, because it's the relationships that drive, and it makes it more fun too,
Yeah. In that example, I mean, it devalues your product. You have to be able to talk about your coatings or your fasteners, or what's different about your application process, why you're better. And you just can't do that on a proposal. I mean, it can be as wordy as you want it, but people can only absorb so much, reading a detailed proposal. So it's, it changes business.
Yeah, for sure. Do you have any favorite deals you've closed in your career that you can think of offhand, like a couple fun ones, or interesting how you closed the deal? Or
Well, I think that the ones that are the funnest is when I get to kind of flex my muscles of my knowledge and my resources and what I can bring to the table, provide value for people. So I did one a couple of years ago, and it was this situation where the company was for sale. This guy really wanted to retire.
So this is a merger, acquisition?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. The company really wanted to be sold. They were trying to sell it for a year, and somebody was working on it. They called me and they said, there's this company and it looks really interesting, but they can't sell. And I said, well, you should do something with the real estate that coincides with the business transactions, so that it makes the equity requirement to actually acquire the business much smaller, and then therefore the cash on cash return is better, and it's just a smaller investment, smaller risk, and it's just probably a better investment, more attractive for a potential buyer. And then that led to kind of 6 months of discussions, and ultimately what we did is there was a group that bought the company. I bought the company for $8 million. I sold the real estate for $6 million. And then there was $2 million of seller financing as part of the deal. So essentially the buyer group got the company for no equity, no cash out of pocket at closing.
Wow.
And that was one of the first ones that I had done, where I had done the real estate transaction that coincided with the company sale. And that's really where my interest now is, getting involved in more of the company sales side as well, because I'm talking to the same people. So I might as well ask them about their company at the same time I'm asking about their real estate.
Yeah. So you're combining the two together.
Yeah.
And how long have you been doing kind of that package?
Just for like 12 to 18 months.
Okay.
Yeah. And I haven't sold a company yet. I've just started kind of prospecting it and have engagements with a couple of companies.
And it's still going to be run under capital.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
That's nice to be able for the customer to be dealing with the same person, because why not?
Yeah.
I like that. That's a good business model. So the name of the podcast is called The Chill. So those feel good moments. So what in your business are you passionate about that kind of gives you the chills moments?
Well, I think
besides the flex your muscles.
Yeah. So I think what gives you the chills is just when you know that you've come across a deal. So, I'm doing all sorts of prospecting with calls and emails and market research and trying to find deals. And once you know that you kind of found something that is a deal, you get the chills, because you're like, this is it. I was maybe looking for a deal for a month, and then I just found something, and I was like, I know I can sell this. I know exactly who to call, and this is going to lead to a closing in a couple of months.
Okay. And what's your perfect customer or client?
Probably an industrial manufacturing company, a warehousing company, or somebody that otherwise owns industrial real estate that's an individual. I would say my business and my perfect client is more like somebody like you that's an individual and that's not a corporate. So where I bring a ton of value is I can educate people that aren't in the real estate world all the time, but maybe own some assets. I can educate them and I can help them get to the best buyer, get the best price for their asset, whereas they otherwise may have not been able to sell it, or wouldn't have known how to sell it or how to get the best price, or thought they could only sell it maybe to somebody locally. And I'll find a way to get them the best deal.
Okay. So how do you separate yourself from the competition then?
Well, a lot of the competition does focus more on corporate. So they want to work for more of like the Medtronics and the 3Ms of the world. I want to work more with entrepreneurs, individuals. That's a better client for me. And the way that I differentiate myself is I'm real focused. I don't do 100 deals a year. I don't do 50 deals a year. I do 10 deals a year. So I'm real dedicated and real focused on exactly what I'm doing, and spend a lot of time making sure I get it right for the client versus just kind of blowing through stuff, which some of the bigger groups
Sure.
can feel like that, I think.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right. Bonus question before we finish out.
Sure.
How has you as an athlete, hockey player, coach helped you in your business career?
Discipline, systems. I think again you have to be resilient and humble. Sometimes you're gonna miss the net. You're gonna get stopped by the goalie. You're gonna lose 10-1, but it doesn't mean that you're bad. It doesn't mean anything. You just keep going with your systems, and you just be disciplined, and you just stick to it, and eventually you're going to have more wins than losses, and you're going to succeed.
Yeah. Anything that you want to share with the audience that we didn't cover?
No. I think I guess just thank you for having me. I think again this is a great venue, great format, and
Yeah.
I really I've enjoyed it. I like these podcasts. I spend more and more time listening to these, so it's fun for me to actually participate in one.
Yeah. And how do people get in touch with you?
CapitalCommercialPartners.com.
Okay.
My Instagram is at St. Paul Industrial.
Okay. All right. So yeah, thanks
Perfect.
for coming on.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good to meet you.
Yep. Nice meeting you.
And that's a wrap, folks. A huge thank you to our incredible guests, and of course, Allweather Roof for making this podcast possible. If you enjoyed these conversations as much as we did, don't forget to hit subscribe and share the chills with your fellow business aficionados. Remember, it's not just about business, it's personal, and it's all about the people. Stay inspired, chase those dreams, and let the chills guide you. Till next time, this is Brent, signing off from the Chills Podcast. Catch you on the flip side.